today we're looking at, is it compulsory to marry? So it's a question that I want to come from a single perspective, and also we are also going to look at the other aspect as well. If you're already married, what exactly do you need to do now you are in it? Okay, so please share this with your friends, share this with your colleagues, share this around, and let them just join us today. I'll bring my guest on. 1 second. Okay, cool. So hopefully that do. Let's see. Hey, hi, Coach Ty. Welcome, welcome, welcome,
How are
welcome.
you?
I'm all right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bolua. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Ezequiel. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Please share this far and wide and let your friends, your family, your colleagues. It's going to be really, really an awesome section that we want to have today. And I believe that is it compulsory to marry is a question that might not be entirely simple in terms of yes and no, but we just want to elaborate more about that topic today. All right. And I hope that as we look into this today, we'll be able to get a lot of value out of what we're going to be talking about. And at the same time, you also find it useful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Omolala. Thank you so much. I'm excited for you to be here. Very grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really, really excited that you guys are here today. Right. So today we're looking at, is it compulsory to marry? And wherever you are, can you just tell me where you are joining in from, if that's okay? Just put on the chat, where are you joining in from today? If you just put on the chat for me, where are you joining from? And then I will introduce my guest and we'll just fire on. So we have Taye Aluko with me today in the house. Taye, I hope you're feeling great. You feeling good?
I'm feeling very good.
But awesome, awesome. Absolutely. So we have Taye Aluka today. He's a counselor, he's a coach, a speaker, he's a podcast host, and author. And Taye's mission is to help couples build solid foundations for healthy marriages so that they can flourish in life, the workplace, and society. She is a certified relationship counselor and marriage coach. She has a heart for teaching young couples how to enjoy and not endure marriage. She believes that there will be a decline in mental health issues when marriages work better. She is a certified prepared enriched marriage preparation facilitator and a prepared enriched mentor couple. Taya is an associate member of the Women in Business and Management and NLP practitioner in training. She is an author of the book Together Forever, Godly Principles for Building a Happy and Lasting Marriage, and host of the Happy Home podcast. Welcome, Taya. We are happy to have you here.
Thank you again for having me. We had an awesome time yesterday, and it can only get better today.
Absolutely.
Amazing time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So today we are looking at something that I believe needs some explanation, needs some deeper truths, and the truth that sometimes we find it difficult to receive, but we have no choice. We have to be authentic. We have to be real because it's something that bothers about life in general. Okay, so today we are looking at, is it compulsory to marry? I mean, Ty, just that topic. What comes into your mind?
Interesting topic. You know, when you said the topic, what came into my mind was now by force to marry. By force. You know, when you said this topic, that really gets me thinking and wondering what direction will this go?
Yeah.
You understand? Particularly given, you know, our own culture and all of that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Okay, right. Now, so we just want to crack on with this conversation today. And for those that are watching, wherever you might be, welcome to today. And I'm excited that you are here. And it's important for us to be very open minded. We always say that when you come onto this platform, have three things in mind. Number one, to learn something new, to unlearn, and then to relearn. Those are the three key things that we want to take away as we come to this particular live today. So I want to begin by saying that we've heard so much about marriage. I want to ask Coach Tai, what is marriage? What is marriage not? Which means, what is it that is not marriage? Because there are a lot of things we see today. We just want to understand, because we want to talk about, is it compulsory to marry? The question is, what is marriage not?
See, as they adjust my chair just to set myself down. Yes, what is marriage? Very interesting question. Again, thank you for having me, Chinda. Thank you for even doing this. You are indeed a blessing to several generations, because this is material that we there that even generations coming will have access to. God bless you. God
Thank you.
honor and reward you.
Thank you.
What marriage is not? I will start by saying marriage is not several things. And, people tend to have this misconception, particularly single, and particularly if you grew up reading Mills and Boon. I don't know if you remember Mills and Boon and all those romantic novels. It paints a picture in your head. Watching all these Hollywood movies, romantic ones, you begin to see the stars, the moon, and all of that.
Yeah.
I would say that first and foremost, marriage is not a bed of roses. You think that the rose they used to propose to you when you just enter the marriage, it's all over the bed, all over the room, and all. But it's also not a bushel of thorns. So it's not a bed of roses, but it's not a bushel of. It's not a battlefield. It's not, but it is not also fantasy land or fantasy existence or fantasy world. Marriage is not proposal drama. That one is because on social media now you are seeing proposal drama. The amount of money spent on proposal, if only that can make a marriage work, many marriages will be working better. Marriage is not proposal drama. Marriage is also not the wedding day. The wedding day it's not even up to 24 hours. Highest, max, maybe you do 10 hours for church wedding.
If you get that.
Then after wedding, because there's after party now. It's not the wedding day. Marriage is not a business venture. It's not a business venture relationship. My family, your family, let's join together so that this family can begin to continue the family business, and do all of this and all of that. Marriage is also not the idea of our forefathers. Marriage has an author. Marriage has a creator. So, I can go on and on and on and on, but these are some of the things that marriage is not. Marriage is not a one-sided relationship. There are two people in it. And for any marriage to work successfully, the two people must be given there must be an atmosphere for the two people to fully express their individuality. Marriage is not one person making all the rules and taking all the decisions. Marriage is not society idea. It's not society idea. And marriage is not necessarily what you saw your parents go through. Because most of us, we grew up in homes, we define marriage by the way our mother and father did their own marriage.
Yes.
If it is contrary to the design of the designer, then that is not marriage. Because marriage has a designer, and designer put in place a design. So when we are talking about, looking at what it is not, anything that is contrary to the design of the designer is not marriage. That's the best way that I can sum it up.
Wow. That's quite a lot of things that's been highlighted here. Marriage is not one-sided. Marriage is not fantasy. It's not even the Maryland. Marriage is not proposal drama, which we see today. And it's interesting to know marriage is not even a business venture. Marriage is not one-sided relationship. And we can go on and on and on and on and on, right? So it's important to know that for me, I always say that marriage is not rocket science. Okay. It's not rocket science because it's a principle based information, a relationship, right? It's not rocket science. Oh wow, I just know how to do it, I just figure it out. It just and can I tell you also, marriage is not common sense.
That one then, that's a big one.
Marriage is not common sense. Is so important for that to drive home, because we are so used to this phrase, just use your common sense, just use your common sense. Common sense is not marriage, because many times you use common sense, it will land you into the court, it will land you into a disaster place, because common sense is very individualistic.
Yes.
What you call common sense
is not even common.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's very, very important that you know that. And if you have that understanding that this is not what marriage is, then you begin to understand, how do I now deal with what marriage is? Okay.
Yeah.
And I love the what you say, that marriage is not a bed of roses. Okay, where people just think that everything is just gonna be super incredible, amazing 24/7, and is dangerous to always think like that, because if you don't think right, you begin to act in a way that is not the best. Okay, and again, marriage is not a conflict-free zone.
So true.
Yeah, marriage is not a conflict-free zone. The reason why you need to allow this to sink in is because if you have the idea that, oh, just the way the romantic way things are with your intending spouse, or even those that are married now, are waking up to the reality that, I thought marriage was a conflict-free zone. Where no argument, no misunderstanding, no disagreement, everything is just perfect. Marriage is not a conflict-free zone. So if you are listening to us, you are married now, you begin to understand that it isn't. Because anyone that is married for even 1 year, or even before you marry, if you're very honest to yourself, you understand that marriage is not a conflict-free zone. Because if we have that proper understanding, it will help us to know what to do, on how to do things, and things will be completely different. Okay, then marriage is not a place that everything you expected before the marriage happens. Marriage is not a place where everything you expected and everything you wrote down in your diary, everything you wrote down in your vision board, right? In marriage, it's a different game, it's a different reality altogether. So it's important to establish that fact. And for those coming, if you have any question to just put on the button that have the question sign and just drop in there, and they will be able to respond to you. Now let's go a bit further. We have discussed about what marriage isn't. Now, what is marriage, Coach Tai?
Well, I would like to always start from, because I believe that I'm a person of faith, I would say that. And I would always like to start from the beginning. Marriage is an institution that God designed, God created, God designed, and God gave as a blessing to mankind. So in other words, it's an institution that is meant to bless mankind, because he said in his word, it's not good for man to be alone. And therefore make him a helper. And he said, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two become one flesh. So it's God's design. It's an institution that he established and created with a blueprint, and it's meant to be a blessing to mankind. Marriage, I will also say, it's not, like I said, it's not a business relationship. And it's not a contract, it's a covenant relationship. There's a difference between contract and covenant. Covenant, you have terms of, if the contract can have expiration dates. Contract can say, if you break the contract, this is my exit clause. Covenant is more lasting. And we already know that when it comes to covenant, God's mind towards covenant is that covenant is everlasting, rock solid. Covenant is not something that should be broken. Yet we live in a fallen world, but God's original intention is that my covenant should last forever. So it's a covenant relationship. It therefore is sacred. It therefore means that the two people who are entering into vows must be mindful that they are entering into a covenant relationship and that there are certain behaviors required. I would also say that marriage is also a sacrificial relationship. It's not we live in an era where the gospel of self is so prevalent, it's so strong. And I believe in self-care, because if you are not wholesome, you cannot give. But marriage, selflessness is so important, that you are able to be this selfless person, because if you are not selfless and you are coming into a relationship that requires sacrifice, how will you make that sacrifice for your spouse? So it's a sacrificial relationship. It's a covenant relationship. It's a God-designed, God-ordained relationship. It's also a partnership. It's a partnership relationship, because it's, like I said, it's not one-sided. There are two people. And so maybe that's where you can use maybe like a business element, because both partners have the interest of that relationship at heart, because you both have said, if it works, both of you are beneficiaries. In other words, what is the reward? If there's profit or gain, both partners are the beneficiary of the profit or gain. So that's why when we talk about marriage, it is first and foremost God's idea, and that's where we must always go to God for the blueprint. The standard of God, the principles that he has put in place. Those are the principles, because it is his idea. He's the one who knows best the way that a marriage can work. He has the idea, the blueprint, and the plan. So I will stop there and hand over to you.
Thank you so much. I think for those watching and for those who are going to watch this in replay, it's very important that we understand what we're talking about, because if we don't understand what we're talking about, then making the decision or the choice to either do it or not will depend on your understanding of what it is. And we've said that marriage is a partnership. Marriage is a sacrificial relationship. It's a covenant, okay? And marriage is not just about human. There is a divine aspect of marriage, because the institutor and the initiator is not human. It's a God. It's a spirit. So for him to initiate something that he wants human to enjoy, then it has some spiritual connotation to it. Absolutely. So if you are not married or you are married, it's important to understand that whether you're a person of faith or you're not a person of faith, it's important to understand that this thing called marriage, because it's something that brings life, that brings kids, that brings children, that brings, souls into the world. It's not something to be trivialized. It's not something to joke with. So marriage is an institution, is a union that God has instituted for me and you to be part of it. But we're going to talk about whether it's in terms of the choice part. So don't see marriage as one flimsy thing, because Hollywood never created marriage. Bollywood never created marriage. Nollywood never created marriage. The celebrities never created marriage. The billionaires, they never created marriage. And it's important for you to know, professors, philosophers, and psychologists, they never created marriage. So the question is, where is marriage from? And that's what we have talked about now. It's not just about the earth. It's not just about our human existence, or marriage just came as a result of whatever evolution. We just evolved into marriage. No, it was a carefully planned, designed institution that God has given to humans to partake in, his children. So if you're about to get into it, there is a spiritual connotation, whether you're a person of faith or not. It's not something to trivialize. It's not something that we talked about before. It's not just your idea. It's not just about your logic. It's not just about what you want. It's a bigger and interesting institution. And it's important to know that marriage predates every other institution that you can think about in this world. It's the oldest because it's right from the beginning. So let's be very clear about the union of marriage. Marriage, as we have said earlier, is something that God have designed, and he wants you and I to participate in it. But the way it happens, we all decide based on our choices. Now, the question now again I want to ask is this: why do we feel that there is this need to be married? Where is it coming from, right? Why do we feel this need to be married after a certain age? Because I remember myself growing up as a teenager, as a youth. I was so spiritually focused that I didn't even know whether there are females in the world. Okay. But I realized that as time goes on, I begin to grow, and I begin in my early 20s, and I begin to realize that, wow, even though I'm consecrated, even though I just want to serve God, but there's these other creatures around. They're so nice. They're really, really amazing. I don't realize that just looking at them, sometimes you just feel all right. Just looking at these things around. So I started having the feeling that, wow, I'm not just gonna be here alone. Okay. So it's important. So why do we have that feeling, Coach Tai, that there's need to marry?
Well, I would first of all say that for different people, it will be different things. So sometimes we cannot generalize. But then at the same time, I would say that, the way God created mankind, he created us and said, it's not good for us to be alone. So I believe that as human beings, we are not meant to exist in isolation. And because of that desire to, be with that one person that you can do life together with, that you know that this one has my back, this one is, this one, I'm the most important person to this person, and this person is also the most important. So priority. So it's really that for me. It's that. And then because we also know from loads and loads of research that we are relationship based. Humans thrive better when they are connected in healthy and wholesome relationships. So there is a desire, particularly for the women. Then there's also the cultural aspect, because we are Africans, and of course different cultures have different things. There's also the desire that the woman feels that after a certain age, I should have a husband. And I start having a husband, I should start having children. So you want that family thing, because family is beautiful. Family is beautiful and the blessings of family. So we want that. We
Mm-hmm.
want the relationship. We want the connections. We want the support system that marriage offers. That is what it is meant. Marriage, I put it in quotes because we also know that people enter marriage and have different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The way God designed it, all of these things should be in place. So there's a yearning. Then also because, God put in sexual desire in us. And according to the original design, sex is meant for inside marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also that element of the sexual desire. So we want to be able to express ourselves sexually.
Mm.
We want to also procreate. And we want the companionship factor. Because companionship is part of the benefits that you get from marriage. So people desire to marry. Now, the stage at which the world is at, we find that people are getting all of these things without marrying, but that wasn't the original design.
Mm-hmm.
These things were meant to be things that in marriage, you marry and then you enjoy these blessings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, wow, wow. And I think those watching, you realize that even as a single person, as an individual, that is a feeling almost like a void. In us, we have this desire to drink water. We're thirst.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a certain time in your day you want to sleep, right? So that tendency to sleep is natural. Tendency to drink is natural. Tendency to eat is natural. Also, we have the tendency, the sex drive is natural. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only way to fulfill that according to God's design is to have someone else in your life, an opposite sex in your life, ideally within the marriage environment. Okay. So that is okay. It's nice. It's beautiful to be married. Okay. But also that takes me to the question that we're asking. Since we know that the Bible said it is not good for a man to be alone, and that goes the same thing to the woman. And he said, I will also bring a helpmate, whereby they become part of a union in their relationship to accomplish some unique, specific God design in their lives. But today, and that's the question we want to address, is it not compulsory to marry? Coach Tai.
Honestly, Chinda, my answer is, it's not absolutely compulsory to marry because, marriage is not a purpose assignment. Okay. It's not a life mission. It shouldn't be a life mission because, you see, we all have purpose and assignments to fulfill on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find out that a lot of people have made marriage the ultimate. And therefore you are pursuing it with everything. The Yoruba will say tori tori tese tese, with your head, with your leg, with everything. You will find people who do not desire to get married. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. But then you will also find people who don't want to get married because of experience. So maybe they've been scarred. It might not be what happened to them. It might be what they have seen. So they don't believe that that is what marriage is. So we have to categorize them when we answer this question. And even in the Bible, God created some eunuchs now.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Apostle Paul never married.
Correct.
Quite a lot of the disciples never married. They were focused on their life assignment and mission.
Okay.
And that's why I feel that when we do not leave ourselves in this desperate place, we avoid making mistakes. That conversation of, first of all, understanding who you are, getting to know yourself, getting to love yourself, getting to embrace yourself, getting to even know what your vision for your life is, what your purpose and plan for your life is so important. So that when you have done all of that, then if you now meet somebody, you can begin to say, is there even alignment? And so I would say, even before you think of marriage for the singles, you first of all get yourself in shape and readiness. You know, is it compulsory to marry? Really and truly, for me, it depends on the individual. But what I do know is that marriage is very desirous by many. You know, you see a lot of recent, there have been quite a lot of celebrity weddings in Nigeria. And these are women who are high flyers, who you would think, marriage is not a big deal for them. Look at their joy and happiness on the day they got married, which means there's still that desire. But honestly, no be by force. Let some things first be in place before you start to pursue getting married. No be by force. No be by force.